Hi everyone, it's Kate from The Fold Line. I am back this week with the Sew Down, which is our monthly roundup of stuff we've seen, sewn, read, listened to over the month. So I'm going to get started. I will just preface this by saying I'm actually not wearing anything that I made today. I'm in head to toe, ready to wear. And my boyfriend says that I look, I'll show you. It's like this. He says that I look like a mime artist, so right. I'm going to get going because we've got some cool stuff to talk about. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is sewing fabric. I have bought the most beautiful fabric from We Are the Fabric store sale. They have, I don't know if it's still going, but they had 20% off, and I bought this beautiful, what a surprise, it's blue and it's stripy. It's a linen and cotton mix, like just gorge, like, ugh. Can't wait to use it. I'm going to make another Charlie caftan with it because I have worn my other one to death this summer, so I feel like I need another one. What I want to show you, the other thing which was really interesting, is they have on their website, they have the most fantastic range of linen. So if you're looking for anything with linen, just go and check them out because it's really worth it. All plains, really nice plain colours. But what they offer alongside it are these, which are bias binding, but in the matching colours of all the, like in their linen colours. So you can buy it, and if you're using bias binding as, you know, to finish off your neckline or whatever, you can just buy an extra metre of it already done for you, which is great if you're a bit lazy like I am. So I thought, I don't know which one to go with yet, but I'm going to use, on the Charlie caftan they have ties, so I was thinking I'm going to use this as a tie to go with this. I'm thinking probably I'm going to go for the mustard option. Yeah, so I'm quite excited about doing that. So that is my sewing plan for this month. Let's see if it actually happens. Like tools and stuff. So I got given this and I wasn't sure whether I liked it or not. And I'm still undecided. I'm on the fence. I'm going to start using it this month, and I was wondering if anyone else has it and do they use it and do they like it. So it comes from Prim, and it is a so this is a, let's pull it apart. So this is a pincushion, so a magnetic pincushion, which is, I have one already, which I swear by. It's the best thing to store your pins. But this is to store all your bobbins. So I've just put a few in to show you. So it's like that, and then you have all your bobbins just sitting in there. So it's quite handy for when you're, you know, you're buying your machine and you're looking for the colour, because I don't know how you guys store yours, but I just have like a little tin that they sit in, and they all get like ruckled together and kind of they all get tangled. So I was thinking this might be a really good way to store them. So I'm going to give it a go this month. I'll pop a link down. Everything I talk about I'll pop a link to, but I'll pop a link down below if this is exactly what you're after in your life. I mean, it must be quite useful. The only thing is it's quite big. That's, you know, if you don't have a big sewing space, it does take up quite a lot of space, but I think it's pretty useful. So we'll see. I'll report back. I'm quite interested to see whether that works. Reading for this month. The first thing I'm going to talk to you about is the Maker's Atelier magazine. We did a review of this, their first issue, a while ago, earlier this year, and this is the second one. So this is the summer version of it. If you didn't see the review, I'll pop a link down below so you can go and have a look and a full scoop inside. If you're feeling like, I don't know about you guys, but I'm feeling like summer, I've got a little bit of a sewing slump, this is what you need. It's just beautifully, I'll show you a couple of pictures on the inside. So the magazine is featuring the Maker's Atelier patterns in there, but it is done in an editorial style it feels a little bit like, the closest thing I can think of, if you mixed COS with Toast and they did a magazine together, that's what this would be. So it's full of interesting articles. It's got the Maker's Atelier, let me show you, find the page with all of they have these really great pages where they show you the products all made up, so it almost looks like a catalogue not a catalogue, but like a lookbook, so you can see all of her patterns together made up in fabrics, which I think is really inspiring. Like I totally dig like seeing things made up in the in the fabric, so you can see how they hang. It's just really, it's just great. I think you should buy it. You won't be disappointed. It's got like, yeah, just really interesting things, and it also comes with a free pattern. So this skirt on the front, you get the pattern inside, so it's a paper pattern, and it's just stapled onto the inside, and you can then just pull it out and use it. Yeah, it's on, like, paper quality is really nice actually. It's like a kind of, it's like heavier than tissue paper but not kind of paper, and they're not overlapped as well, so you can literally just cut straight out. Yeah, it's a lovely simple pattern and perfect for this summer because we all need a skirt. So yeah, I'd highly recommend this. I think it's nice if you're feeling like you need to get a bit of inspiration. I'd definitely recommend this. Other stuff that I have been reading, I'm going to pull my laptop so that I've got everything here. A really interesting article on Forbes about Burberry, and I don't know if any of you have seen, but apparently Burberry have burnt £28 million worth of stock at the end of the season, so that no one else, so it can't be bought or used again, and that includes all their fabric that they had left over from the collection. So I mean, it's pretty disgusting actually that they're not reusing it, they're not doing anything good with it. I mean, it doesn't surprise me, but it's pretty, in this day and age, that you can't think of another way of using this is just awful. So I thought that article was really interesting, and it's really well written, and it's just, I mean, this is pretty, having worked in the fashion industry, this is pretty commonplace with big companies, because they don't want anyone else. Well, one, they don't want people copying their stuff. They don't want all of the leftover stock to be sold to like, to be sold on the black market or to be sold to places like TK Maxx. But at the same time, environmentally, it is pretty despicable. So I think you should have a read of that. It was really interesting. I thoroughly enjoyed it. What else is there interesting? Oh yes, so this is very UK based, but you probably heard there was the most fantastic exhibition in Paris of Dior's, like a kind of huge, amazing exhibition with all of Dior's couture stuff, a huge range of it. I'm not describing this very well, am I? Just a fantastic exhibit of Dior through the ages. They had some of his iconic looks, like the new look, the sort of 1948 new look. Just some of those, those black and white photos that you see of 1950s and women looking fantastic. They've got the original outfits in these images, so I really wanted to go over to Paris and see it, but I didn't book tickets in time, and I was quite gutted because it just looked fantastic, and loads of the sewing community actually went over there, and I was basically quite jealous. But great news is that it's coming over to the UK. So the V&A have confirmed. I'll pop a link so you can read all about it if you haven't heard about it. The V&A have confirmed that they're going to be doing it, having the Dior exhibition in London. So yeah, I don't know when it will be. It's kind of, we don't know when, but it will be amazing. And if you're anywhere in the UK or you can fly over to the UK, it's definitely going to be worth it. I think it's going to probably be their most epic exhibit, because the one in Paris looked just out of this world. I don't even know how much it must have cost to just put that on, because it looked like a fairy tale basically. So that is very exciting. Along those sort of lines, I found a really interesting video that I thought you guys would like. It's not very long, but it's showing Dior at Paris Fashion Week and the couture house and all the women working in there and how everything comes together. And I just thought you guys would like it because it's really beautifully shot and it's really interesting. I love watching like especially at places like couture houses like that, where people are there hand stitching and using their hands, and it's very much a hands-on company in that department where all the people are there cutting and sewing, and yeah, it was really lovely. So definitely go and have a little watch of that. Up next, so listening now. I have got 4 things to talk about in terms of listening. 2 of them are podcasts and 2 of them are audiobooks. Lots of people said they wanted to hear what audiobooks I was listening to, so I am definitely I'll talk about those. I might actually have to pull my phone up to show you the names. I'll put links and everything. So the first podcast is called How to Fail, and I got recommended this by another podcast that I listened to, and it's really, really good. I found it really interesting and really inspiring. So the premise of the podcast is using how you fail at something in life and how that has essentially pushed you forward to achieve in other ways. And it's quite an interesting topic, and the journalist who does the podcast, her kind of main job is interviewing celebrities, the kind of big deep dive celebrity interviews. So she's really fantastic at interviewing, and each person who comes on each week talks about 3 ways that they've failed in life. And yeah, it's just quite interesting, and especially with quite successful people, I find it really interesting hearing what they count as failure. Some things you think, actually that's a massive success, not a failing. And yeah, it's quite interesting. So if you feel, I think each one's kind of like 45 minutes to an hour, so just if you're sewing and you've got a good kind of lump of time, they're really nice to sort of sit down and listen to. The next one I'm going to talk to you about is a specific episode. It's How I Built This, which I've spoken about before. It's a podcast about, it tells the stories of companies, quite massive, big, successful companies, and how they started, and they get the founders in and they talk about everything right from the beginning through to where they are now. It is brilliant. They've had some really, really fantastic people, and if you haven't listened to it, you will really enjoy it. I know it's kind of in theory business based, but it's more the story, and all of them have really interesting stories of how they kind of got to where they are. They've had Instagram, Airbnb, Rolling Stone magazine, the woman who set up Spanx, which is the best one and the first one, you should definitely listen to that. But they're just fantastic. So this week is about Stuart Butterfield, who initially set up Flickr, that the online sort of photo website that now is kind of no longer, but also how he moved from that to making Slack, which is, anyone who works in big companies, quite a lot of companies use it. It's a sort of it's a program to help companies who all work together to have a kind of place where they consolidate everything. So it's a really good, but it's just a great episode, so it's definitely worth listening to. So, book-wise, I've got 2 books to talk to you about. The first one, I can't remember the authors' names of either of them, so I will pop links down below because they're definitely worth going and listening to. The first one was recommended by Karen from Did You Make That? And she texted me and said, we were talking about something, she said, I really think you'd like this. So, the book is called The Queen of Bloody Everything. It is set in late 70s suburbia in the UK. If you were a kind of child in that time, I really think you'll love this because it's so nostalgic. They talk about all the foods. It's set there. It's a story of a mother and daughter relationship. It's not a standard relationship. I don't want to kind of give too much away, but the mother is quite avant-garde, and the daughter, and they've moved into suburbia, and her daughter just wants her mother to be normal like we all did when we were younger, and the mother wants her daughter to be more like her and fight the system. But it's just so beautifully written. It's so beautifully written. I just think you'll love it. And yeah, it's quite sad and it's quite intense, but it's really worth listening to. The second book that I want to talk to you about is anyone who loves a thriller. It is called Into the Water. It was part of Reese Witherspoon's book club, which is anyone who is looking for book recommendations. Reese Witherspoon's book club. I've listened to some really fantastic books from her, or read fantastic books. It's a thriller about a honeymoon. Something happens on a honeymoon with a couple and all the repercussions of this one scenario. It's quite gripping. You don't know what's going on for quite a lot of it. You can't work out who's good, who's bad, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. So if you are going on holiday and you want like a good gripping book, I'd highly recommend this. Yeah, so that is everything for this month. I think I've covered everything. I hope you enjoyed that. I will be back soon with another video. Bye!